In any study, an investigator may have a choice of collecting the relevant data himself or of relying entirely on existing data already collected by someone else. The former is called the primary sources, while the latter is called secondary sources of data. Whether primary or secondary, data may be published or unpublished. Data in their original form, such as number of births and deaths in a locality, names of taxable adults in an area, ages of school children in a country, etc., may exist in the files, logbooks, registers, etc., of government or non-governmental departments. These departments include ministries, schools, churches, hospitals, etc. To obtain data from these sources require a lot of effort, time, and money. The following consideration may be borne in mind when embarking on any data collection. The cost of collecting the data, practicality of proposed methods of collection. If sampling is used, the samples must be a representative of the population. A representative sample gives equal chances to every member of the population to be included in the sample. Some of the sampling techniques will be treated later in the text. The various errors and biases which may lead to wrong conclusion must be minimized or, if possible, avoided. Errors come into collection of data, for instance, when the wrong type of data, not suitable for the problem under investigation, is collected. Bias is introduced, for example, when the investigator, either because of convenience or some other reason, allows his personal feelings to override statistical principle, and too much time should not be spent in collecting the data. Two methods of data collections are distinguished: surveys and experiments. Surveys are used mainly in social sciences and education. Surveys observe either the entire population or a sample. Investigators cannot control irrelevant factors in surveys. Experiments are common in natural sciences. Experiments allow control over variables to minimize bias. Populations are usually infinite, unlike surveys which often involve finite populations. There are three stages in data collection. The first stage is formulation of the problem, to define the problem and specify objectives clearly before collecting data. The second stage is planning the study, to decide on coverage, search for existing information, plan data recording, and consider a pilot survey. The third stage is designing the study, to determine sample size, sampling methods, construct questionnaires, and train interviewers or recorders. Before starting to collect data, the investigator must first of all determine the problem to be solved and specify its objectives. As an illustration of problem statement, suppose a government, Ministry of Education, is thinking of regulating the spending habits of children in their boarding schools. Before making policy decisions, the government will first need to know the following facts: normal needs, pocket money range, spending patterns, and influences like age, sex, school location, and parental income. If all the above facts are not well known, we might decide to find out more about them. A problem for study can then be formulated as to find out pocket money, levels, spending habits, and factor influences among boarding school children. The investigator's next stage is to plan the study. He has to plan how best to solve his problem. In fact, his plan will include the coverage, to decide areas and objects to observe, choose between sampling or whole population. Available information to review existing published or unpublished data to avoid duplication and learn from past studies. Recording data to choose between questionnaires or direct observation, considering pros and cons of which. Pilot survey to conduct a small-scale preliminary study to test procedures and estimate costs. The following are the guidelines for the designing of a good questionnaire. Number of questions. The number of questions depends on the number of topics or variables being studied. Ideally, they should be as few as possible. Too many questions resulting in a lengthy and voluminous questionnaire may discourage a respondent from giving the type of cooperation that he might have given with fewer questions. Repetition of questions should be avoided. A well-arranged and well-ordered sequence of questions showing a logical and continuous flow of thought could be very helpful to the respondent. Simple, clear, and unambiguous questions are more likely to have more meaningful responses than complicated and ambiguous questions. As for question types, questions leading to definite answers are to be preferred to those that call for many possible answers, which cannot be classified easily. There are four key features to ensure data quality and reliability. They are minimize bias to avoid personal feelings influencing data collection and interpretation, efficient timing to balance thoroughness with time constraints to optimize data collection, cost control to manage expenses without compromising data quality, and respondent cooperation to design service to encourage honest and complete responses.